Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Client Interviews, and today we have Scotty here. Scotty, so just before we get started off, just if you could quickly introduce yourself to us, first name, last name, where you're from, what you do, a little bit about you.
You got it. Yeah. First of all, it's really an honor to be invited to do this interview, this exchange with you. I've been really, I feel privileged to be a part of the group, and so to have this special opportunity to just kind of ping pong back and forth with you, and hopefully share some things about my experience that might benefit somebody who's looking at reality mastery from the outside in. I mean, I'm just very pleased to do this. So. My name's Scotty Hope. I'm hailing right now from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm right downtown in the urban area. In fact, I can see the famous U.S. Bank Stadium like a cruise ship right outside my window right now. This is a recent upgrade for me since being a part of the program. I'm very happy here, but I've lived all over the world. I've lived in the Caribbean. I've lived up on the Canadian border. I've lived in Florida, had some great experiences, but this is where my flag is planted right now, and I'm rocking this place. I'm really happy.
Awesome, man. Awesome to hear that. So, yeah, I mean, you have been in the program, I think, of the people we've interviewed, definitely one of the longest.
Okay.
Like you're one of our veteran members of the program. So it's exciting to see like how your journey has unfolded, like where you were and what you went through and what you came to, and even what you're still iterating this process, how it's been going for you. It's been interesting to see. So I wanted to ask you, like, before joining the program, like what really motivated you to get started with reality mastery?
That's a great question. And I think like perhaps many people within the group, there is some kind of a causal lever, some kind of catalyst that causes a person to look more deeply at all the myriad benefits that are part of participating in a program in a collective community like you've put together here. For me, that catalyst was a sense of lack of direction, almost a kind of a sense of, gosh dang, what's next? And also a feeling of being in limbo, like, wow, if I don't do something, what am I going to do? And how's it going to work out? Because like right now at the moment, rewinding back to when I came into the program, I really didn't know. I mean, the thing that I can liken it to, if you allow me to offer this analogy, is kind of being like a little bit shipwrecked. Like you're floating out in the ocean and you're grabbing onto a piece of wreckage, and the wind is tossing you about and the storms are coming. You look around, you have no sense of direction. It's just all water, all horizon, all sky, and then it gets dark and it's scary, right? You're just like I think I was drifting a little bit, to use that analogy. But when I came into the program, what started to happen to me, if you take that word picture a little bit further, is that, day after day, I was feeling more and more tired, more and more desperate, more and more like I didn't know. Sometimes I didn't even know how I was going to make it, right? I just didn't know. And when I came into the program, it's almost like out of the corner of my eye, I see this beacon, on the distant shore, and it's flashing. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And it's like, whoa, dang! I think that's a lighthouse. I think that's a beacon. I think that's shore. I bet there's sustenance there. I bet there's friendships and relationships there. I bet there's things that'll encourage me and build me up. And of course, at that moment, I made a decision, and I took all the power that I had in my life, and I just locomoted myself, if that's a word, to that beacon, which was your program. And
gotcha.
And so there was a desperate lever that was causing a little bit of pressure in my life, and this program gave me a sense of direction, and it paid off in spades. I had no idea the treasure trove, the bounty that was inside the program, and that I would be able to cultivate it indefinitely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though your program is like, what is it, like 6 weeks? No, I'm sorry. First of all, there's enough information packed in that program, like I would say like 36 weeks. I mean, I'm still going back through and I'm reviewing things and I'm unpacking things. But the real value, I think, in the program is the community that has been put together. Even today, you introduced me, you reached out and introduced me to one of the new members. I made a new friend in Hawaii, Mr. Wayne, and he's already talking about pulling like a little mastermind group together. And this is rich, connective stuff. And I believe that the people that make a decision for this program are people who are people helping people kind of people, right? I mean, don't you
I love that.
don't you get that sense, right? Like
Yeah.
we're all like we all got each other's backs. We're all positive. We're all there for each other. And of course, that trickles from the top down. I got to give you credit, my friend. I mean, you really set a great example, a great tone. You're very accomplished, but at the same time, you're very humble. And I feel like many times I say it on our group Q&A calls. I just say, like, wow, it just feels like we're one wave. This group, we're just all growing together. Like when the tide rises, all of our boats go up, and it's an awesome experience. So, yeah, that's a little bit of kind of analogously, using an illustration of what happened to me, but it's much better on the other side. I could tell you that.
Wow. That's awesome to hear, man. That really that's music to my ears. So before you joined, like I understand you were going through like a transitional period. You did a real estate deal, came into a little bit of money, and you wanted to invest that in the stock market and wanted to transition into trading. Could you
Right.
tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I had been trading as a way of making a living for some time. Really had to do that because I didn't have many other options. I had built a previous business that was creating a little bit of dwindling residual income at one point. It created a really nice, six-figure lifestyle for me. Didn't really lack for much of anything at that previous stage of my life. But that business, I retired from it, and it kind of went down. Then got involved in an Amazon business down in Florida that was also very successful. But I got a call one day and learned that my mother, that she had a stroke, and my mother and father, God bless them. I mean, gosh, I think she was 96 at the time. No, 94, and my dad was 96, and they were living together, been married for many, many years, still in the house that I was raised in, right? And yet they were like one person. And I think this often happens. She had mobility issues, but she was sharp as a tack. My father was super physically capable, but he had some issues with dementia. And so she would kind of be the brains and he'd be the arms and the legs. But that all really changed when my mother, she was hospitalized, and then she was institutionalized, and then she passed. And so the family had to kind of pull together. And because I am an independent entrepreneur, work out of my home, that's where I'm talking to you here in my home office right now. I was kind of the man for the job. So I just said, hey, I'll come up and I'll serve the family and help care for my father for I said, I'll sign up for 3 months here, and then we got to figure things out. Well, that 3 months turned into 3 years. And yeah, it was a big step of huge, profound dedication for me to particularly my father as an individual. But I saw him through the sunset of his life, and the man passed away at 98 years old. Almost all of that in my care, except for the last few weeks. And he always used to say, they'd say, his name was Dan. They'd say, hey, Dan, how you doing? And he'd always say, fair to middling. The only thing better a man could ask for is dying in his sleep. And that's exactly what he did. He passed away, his hands on his chest like this, laying on his back, right? So after that tremendous service, Quasi, which was very, very focal and very, very profound, like I said, as a human experience. I came out of that, wrapped up all of his affairs and in his estate, which was modest, but it needed to be dealt with. And then we divided that amongst the family and paid off a lot of bills. And I had just a little bit of cash to work with, right? And I had been trading. I've been trading from home while I cared for my dad, because that was something that I could do while he required a lot of my attention. So I developed a style of trading that worked for me, but it was tough to make a steady income like that. Really tough, as you might imagine. So when I came out of that, I was like, well, what's next? And that was the drifting in the ocean stage. Like, well, what the heck am I going to do now? And where am I going to end up? And where's my life purpose? Because I had thrown it all into my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was awesome. That was over. It was amazing. You know, it was a new chapter of life. And so, yes, I came into the program, and one of the first things that I did was I woke up, right? This is one of the things that you teach that's so valuable. You teach not techniques, you teach principles of living. And in this case, it was a principle of consciousness. You do have a strategy, if you will, a technique for that. And I don't want to steal the thunder from your program and share that necessarily, but I use that technique, and I woke up. I started to know who I was. I started to know really what my situation was, where I was at, and I started to understand what I was doing, and I started to create a purpose. And I applied that, yes, to my trading. Well, my trading then took a quantum leap in terms of my focus, in terms of really the simplicity of what I was doing, in terms of the results, in terms of the confidence. I mean, I literally felt like I could just wake up every morning and work for 2 focused hours and just extract money from the market. It was amazing. I almost felt like it was like cheating, you know? It just didn't even seem like fair, because I had struggled so much before, but now I had a system, I had a focus, I had consciousness, and then, my goodness, I mean, all the other things that you've taught about, for instance, the plate, or as you refer to it, the plat. This is something that maybe somebody listening in doesn't even know about, but I can tell you it's a technique that sometimes when I'm executing a trade, I'm looking at my trading screen right now, and I'll put in my offer to sell, for instance, a position at a profit, and there's nobody buying it. And then I use that technique of activating the plate, and I just become calm. I become focused, and I visualize it, and I see it happening. I illuminate that frame, and I can tell you, my hand to God, 9 out of 10 times, all of a sudden I hear that lovely bring, and that's the sound notification that my order's been filled and the money dropped into my account, and I'm just like, whoa. And that's so different than being pulled in multiple directions and not knowing what to do and doing what everybody else does, fear and greed and all that. So yeah, the difference in my trading has been night and day. And
so in terms of quantifying it, like I remember when you came into the program, you were actually incurring some losses. Like that sort of shook you up, your emotional state, and you started focusing on fear, and you started to get into that negative feedback loop.
That's correct.
Like, really, what did you get from, and like, what were your results like from the loss to gain? How would you describe the quantum leap?
Comfortable. I really don't want to throw my income out there, but what I can do is I can talk in terms of percentages, and I do. It's another thing that I've learned from you is the power of tracking results. So I do have a trading journal, and I'm able to track things very, very specifically. So like many young, immature traders, even experienced traders suffer from this, where you have some kind of strategy and you have some kind of gain because you have like a little streak, but then you end up giving it back, right? And so I would have sometimes gains of 20, 25% at top, and that would feel really great, but then I'd take like a freaking 90% loss, right, the next week. And he just doesn't take a genius to do those numbers. That's you can't live on that. and that creates a lot of fear. And so what's happened since then, I mean, the Trading Journal really reveals this now. I am working with 50, and I know this sounds a little bit outlandish. I'm working with 50 to 100% winners. Now, I'm not talking about penny stocks or over-the-counter stuff. I'm talking about names that you would recognize, like Tesla, like Roku, like Costco. These are big companies that I trade with confidence, and 50 to 100% gain. And then I've learned to curb my losses to about 20, 25%. So the math is inverted, right? And so now I can actually confidently make a living. In fact, so much so that my real calling, Quasi, is well beyond being a financial trader. I so much want to communicate and I want to give. And so started a YouTube channel.
Awesome.
I have a small interest in an Amazon business that's begun, creating some additional residual income, which I think is smart. And I mean, right now life is opening. Life's like an oyster, and I'm basically enjoying every morsel of it. And a lot of it was that pivot point around the trading, turning it from a negative proposition into a positive proposition. And
Gotcha.
yeah, made a big difference. And so really, getting back to that place where I can enjoy the consistency of a six-figure lifestyle again. And hey, you've been a great example of that, man. I remember when you were talking about making your first $20,000 month, and I was like, yeah, go, dude, you can do it. I know you can. I've done it. And now you're clocking six-figure months, and what a great example, and growing, right? Because it's a process, right?
Totally.
Growing. So yeah, great examples, and I know that there's other people whose income is going up in the group as well. So yeah, that's what's happening, man.
That's amazing, man. Wow, that's really amazing to hear that you're branching out and like going into all these other aspects of your life, really aligning to that purpose. Like I think the biggest shift I see in you is again going from that directionless all over the place to like focusing in and just going in this one direction, being clear about what you want and who it is you need to become to achieve it.
Correct. And as you've taught me, that doesn't happen instantaneously. And that's what I think the value of the program is. You use the word, it's a process again, or that doors and windows, if you will, open for you, and you cross these bridges. And when you cross that bridge, it opens up into these other possibilities, and then these other possibilities, because you've shifted your life path, which I think is one of the most valuable things that's happened to me and to many other people in the program, is to have the ability to create your own reality, to switch your life path, and to get out of that. I was in a Groundhog Day. My Groundhog Day was hanging on to a piece of wreckage in the ocean, not knowing where I was going, waking up every day going, how am I going to do this, right? But I've shifted, and I created that reality.
Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. So, yeah, what would you say was the most profound part of the program? Let's say the biggest week, the biggest takeaway that you took from the program?
Well, gosh, there's so many powerful components. I'm pulling up some notes right now. I have copious notes that I've taken and developed in the program. I mean, when you think about fundamentally, you think about, the dream defining worksheet, creating really what other people might refer to as goals, but you're teaching people how to fundamentally change their identity by illuminating this new frame, creating this new life path, and then clearly defining it, clearly experiencing it, clearly living it, and then allowing the future to catch up with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that I think that has been really powerful. I just shared in the group that I've taken that to like the next level for me, where I've taken this idea of having, I guess, this. What is the name that you give it? It's
The manifesto, the self-mastery
yeah,
guide.
yeah, the mastery guide, correct. I just think of it as my life, right?
Yeah.
My goals in living color in present tense. And what's so great is that I've taken that and I've just recorded it. I just pushed the record button on my phone. It's like a 6-minute deal, and I listen to that every morning. Many times I'll listen to it in the evening as well. I hear me describing my life in the present tense, the new identity, the 2.0 version of Scotty, and it just seeps into my subconscious, I think, and it's just amazing how life just catches up with that vision, and it just happens. It happens over time. So every day is like an adventure. It made me feel, I remember sharing this in the beginning weeks of my involvement. I remember all of a sudden, this was huge for me, Quasi. I remember realizing when I started to wake up that I was like a zombie before.
Mm.
And then, not to be judgmental, I don't want to go there, but to be observant, I observed that so many people around me were walking around like zombies and going to their work like zombies and interacting in their relationships like zombies and just not being awake, basically. And so when I woke up, it was so wonderful. It was like I realized, wow, it's like I'm in a movie. I'm in my own movie, and I'm the hero and the central character of my movie, and I'm the author of the script. And I can write this any way I want. And all these people in my life and these people around me and these opportunities and these business relationships and the market, they're all players in this wonderful theater, but it's mine to decide the way it's going to work, right? It's wonderful. Not to say that it's all up to me, because there's this thing that we have come to know as outer intention, right? So there's inner intention, and then there's this powerful force of outer intention that coordinates and orchestrates life according to the way that you've taught us to define it. It's really magical, man. It's really that was big. That was big for me.
Yeah, no, that's huge. It's like once you start taking responsibility, first of all, for everything that's happening around you, you truly gain control of what happens next. So yeah, waking up is a huge part of that. That was a big game changer for me as well. Like instead of being that victim, instead of going in zombie mode, thinking that, we're all just destined to this and that's supposed to happen, that's supposed to happen. But knowing that if we're responsible, that means we can create what happens next. We have a say in that.
Well put. Yeah, and beside that, the process of waking up, it's really exciting. It's really vivid. I feel fully human, fully alive. Right. I love that, and I want to underscore, Quasi, that I don't want to give anybody the impression, looking from the outside in at this program, that just because you wake up, that like, okay, now you flip the switch and now life is wonderful, because it's a practice, right? And it's a practice and a process. But that's what's so wonderful about what we're doing. It's not some magic bullet. It's not some energy drink that you take or some, pill that you swallow. It's a way of living. It's an endless and infinitely rewarding journey. And
Mm.
all of a sudden, life becomes rich and satisfying. And by the way, people notice. People know the zombies notice.
Yeah, like what's interesting, it's interesting you say that because a lot of people, they start to get some results with it and then they get power hungry. They're like, I want the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But really, like when the next thing doesn't happen, they just like get demotivated, demoralized. But the real results come once you look what life was a month
Mhm.
ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and it's like quantum leaps. Like for me, a year ago, I can't. That felt like a different lifetime. That's how quickly it happens. Like if you think about life before the program, wouldn't it feel like
Exactly.
a different lifetime?
It really did. It really
Mm.
did. Um, no kidding.
What,
And,
like 4 months ago, 3, 4 months ago?
exactly. I guess, yeah, that takes us back to the fall, 3, 4 months ago. And yeah, sometimes I see photos of that time of my life and I'm like, I can hardly relate to it.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoa, I did that? Or
And people keep
how
doing
did
the
I,
same things year in, year out, like years and years and years.
right?
Like this truly shows that once you break the cycle, you turn it into a straight line. That's what can happen looking back.
Absolutely. And by the way, it even though it is an individual decision, if you will, or it's something that a person has to step up to underscore your point. You realize that you're responsible, and that's the line in the sand that you draw and you step over. But it's so interesting to me, Quasi, how the resources, the people, the circumstances, the opportunities, they just start to blossom around you. It's just like, well, where did that come? I had this situation where I wanted to start this Amazon business because I just thought it was smart to create some residual income. And I had an Amazon business before that performed very well. And I know how to do it. I know the formula. I know the steps. And it's not necessarily easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But I do know that it's a formula. It's pretty simple if you just stick to the recipe. Um, I actually really didn't feel like I had the seed money that was necessary to launch the kind of business that I knew I was capable of. I wanted to keep that money in the market because then I keep that money in the market. It's my bankroll, and my money makes money, right? Well, out of nowhere, when I told people about this business, they got excited. They saw the juice. They saw the chewy center of this business concept, and it made sense. They, wow, that's a great idea. And then I showed them the product I wanted to market and how I wanted to expand, how I wanted to build this brand called Luxuria. Wanted wanted to do this, and they just stepped up and they said, "Gosh, I'd love to invest in that. I mean, actually, I don't want to really make any money. I just want to. Could I offer something to get you started? I think this is awesome." And boom, $8,000 to $10,000 just manifested out of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
You
so
just make the
cool,
intention, huh?
right? I didn't even ask.
Mm.
I just made the intention that that's what I wanted to do. I felt it within me. I had that vibratory alignment that you teach in the course, and all of a sudden it just literally they talk about this money falling into your lap. I mean, it was astounding. It was
Mm.
amazing. And of course, talk about responsibility. So then when that happens to you, you got to give the universe, a high five and say, "Wow, thank you." But then you got to say, "Okay, well, let's be responsible with this. Let's take all this investment that you're making in me, and let's make it prosper. Let's make it multiply, right? And let's help a lot of other people, right? Like you're doing, right? It's not about quasi, it's about blessing and helping other people, which is what a good business is all about, right?
Mm. Always, always. It's interesting to see, Scotty, because I still remember like when we got on the call that day, you were almost not gonna join. Like I still remember you were almost like this close to not joining. You were like,
Yes.
okay, I need to take that money out of my my stocks, my trading account
Correct.
to
Yeah.
see, if I would, and you almost didn't join, but like looking back at it now, it just seems wild. It's actually the case with a lot of other clients. They're almost like hesitant. They're almost like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but then they take the leap anyways. And
Right.
then we come to like 2-3 months later, they're like, wow, I'm so glad I did this.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know?
Yeah. I want to speak to that for a minute because that is what Tony Robbins refers to. You're familiar with Anthony. He talks about that being a real decision, right? And the word decision, coming from the Latin root scission, like incision, to cut into, but with the prefix d in the beginning of that word, it means to cut away, from. And so when a person makes a real decision, they make a quality decision. They don't waffle. They don't say, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm not sure." No, you cut away any other possibility. And that's what happened for me. I just realized I needed to make a real adult, professional, quality decision for my life. If I wanted a real professional quality result, that's what I needed to do. And I'm so glad looking back that I did. And it's paying off dividends and multiples over and over and over. I think I've only scratched the surface, right?
Amazing, man. I love to hear that. So, yeah, I suppose just to conclude, who would you recommend the program for?
Well, wow. Well, of course, humbly speaking, anybody who is struggling with a sense of purpose and a sense of direction, like I was, I can. It's hard to guarantee, but I can highly ensure that if you plug into the program and you cultivate a rich harvest from all that is within it, um, gosh, even if I'm looking at the program right now, even if you just got to week 2, you will see a significant and very very positive, I think, change in the purpose and direction of your life, which I think is really invaluable. So it's hard to be lost. It's hard to feel alone. It's hard to not know where you're going to end up or if you're going to even make it. And so this program is definitely for somebody like that. But then again, I think also I can speak from the standpoint of, I'm a professional financial trader. I'm also, I think, serial level professional entrepreneur. And I can say for anybody who's entrepreneurial, who's making their own way already, who might be struggling with certain circumstances, or they may just want a better result. They might want a 2x or 5x or 10x. I mean, you've been through that. You went through the 2x and then now the 5x, and I think your next step is the 10x, and that's huge. Even just 2x, that's 100% more, baby. That's twice as much. That's for just if you think about where you're at right now. So if it's an income thing, or if it's a depth of your relationship thing, or if it's your experience of the world kind of thing, or if it's just a part of you want to deepen your vocation. But I think many of the people coming into the program, they want a different, quantifiable, measurable result, and a lot of time I think it has to do with either a financial goal, or it has to do with some kind of accomplishment goal. And this program is definitely for the entrepreneur or the professional. The other thing I can say is I think there are a lot of people right now who are experiencing that stuckness, what you call Groundhog Day, or what you might refer to, a person could maybe imagine the hamster on the wheel, or we talked about the zombieism that I suffered from, right? So if you're feeling stuck, this program is definitely for you, because this can unstuck you, right?
Awesome.
This is a program that can cause you to wake up and be the person and live the life that you were created to live. Be the person that you were created to be, to awaken that thing, that living thing, that living dream that's inside you, but that's probably been buried and pushed down by all the frustrations and the disappointments and maybe some of the unconscious decisions of life.
Mm.
If you wake up, this can come out and it can just pour forth, just like a volcano of gold. A volcano. I picture a volcano of gold, a volcano of running liquid gold into your life. So if you're stuck, this is for you. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah. So those would be the three things that come to mind.
Amazing. Well, Scotty, thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for sharing your honest experience with the program. And yeah, I'm going to link down Scotty's YouTube, his socials, his website, everything down in the comments. It'll be a pinned comment. Thank you guys for watching. Hope this was helpful to show you, what it's like working alongside me in the Reality Mastery program with the community, having supportive people like Scotty by your side.
Hey
So
man,
thanks.
can I do like just a shameless plug for the new fledgling YouTube channel that I've launched?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would just love to do that, because a lot of the program has informed this, and we call this channel the Bigger Better Life. We teach people how to live their bigger better life, your bigger better life, and it's really fundamental. I mean, it's just based around 4 pillars of living. I mean, it has to do with your health, because it doesn't matter how successful you are if you're not healthy, you're you can't enjoy it. It has to do with your finances, so your wealth, and really good solid principles of building wealth and building it long term. It has to do with your personal growth, because as they say, if you're not green and growing, you're probably ripe and rotting, right? So you want to stay growing and expanding yourself as a person. And then lastly, it has to do with your relationships. And so those are the things we teach around. It's an encouragement channel, quasi. That's why I really wanted to share that. We're not making any, we're not monetizing the channel right now. It's a work of passion right now. So there's just little 6-minute, 5-minute, 6-minute videos encouraging people around one of those 4 fundamental areas where people may be feeling a little bit discouraged, or a little bit down, or a little bit lost. And I just think it's a great place for people to be. It's a fledgling effort right now. I'm embarrassed to even say how many subscribers we have, but I can say that we've doubled in the last since I've been involved in the program. The channel's doubled, but it's a small endeavor. But I would love to see that encourage a lot of people. So anybody, if you need encouragement, please go to you have to have the word the Bigger Better Life. I'd love to connect with you and love to serve you through the channel.
Awesome, man. Love to hear that. And yeah, again, Scotty, thank you so much. That is, the Bigger Better Life. I'll even put a link down in that description so people can click on that and check you out. Awesome.